What is going on, everybody? So, as Yanko prepares to deal with technical whatever, I'm jumping on because it's 10:02 and I want to start our show for no particular reason. And if I'm not mistaken, which is entirely possible because I do this stuff all the time, this is episode 56, I believe, but don't quote me. So, Yanko is trying to get himself on screen, and I am here to chop it up with you beautiful folks until he joins me in this beautiful mess and ever unfolded hilarity that we call life. I know you're on, but I don't see you, Yanko. So you a blank spot on the screen, which I think is quite what is that? Serendipitous, because so often, our experiences, our growth, our expansion, our joy comes from moments of darkness, moments of the unknown, moments of not having a clear idea of where we are being guided and where we are going to land. So, as you guys can see, anybody who has a visual right now, Yanko is a blank screen. And I am here wearing this beautiful flower that I was gifted after attending a gala this past week, supporting Dove, which is an organization focused on ending domestic violence for all people, women, men, children, humanity, which is kind of my jam, guys. And I have no idea what this flower is, but somebody told me I could eat it, and so I did. And it kind of had, I don't even know, a bland taste. It wasn't anything super flavorful, but I think I enjoyed the fact that I could eat a flower because that was super cool. Anyway, I am sitting here in kind of a malaise. It's overcast outside. My oldest daughter has been under the weather and has had a fever of 104. So I've been caring for her. And I went through this gala that really highlighted and represented women over 40 and how they have overcome a lot of struggles and challenges, but stepped into resilience and bravery. And as a result, identify as being fierce, in which, I think every single one of us goes through experiences in our lives that give us the ability to see our capacity, our strength, our um vulnerability, and the need for connection. So yesterday I was joined with my beautiful co-host Nana Ajman on the Bright Side Chronicles, and we had guests Alex and Ashley, and we were talking about the power of connection through cosplay. But it goes so much farther than that, guys. As I sit here and think about even my daughter having a fever of 104, and recognizing I'm one person. I have so much energy and so much capacity, but in leaning in to help, asking my other daughter, my twin sister, my brother-in-law, my niece, and my nephew to support my children when I'm unable to, we create greater resiliency. We create greater connection, and it's in that connection that we truly step into our power, which is love. And, Yanko, I can speak wholeheartedly for, and myself feel very strongly that love is a pervasive force that underpins every experience that we have throughout our lives. And it's easy for us to get caught in the narrative of being stuck in the darkness, of being stuck in that abyss, that void that Yanko was just in while he navigated technical difficulties. But when you expand out just a little bit and you stay curious and you look at all of the moments that are unfolding, you realize that love is carrying you through that abyss, that darkness. And today, while I'm a little bit tired, having taken care of my daughter and myself, and being a part of this gala and helping that unfold, I realized that I didn't need to know what the end result was gonna look like. I never need to know how this day is gonna unfold into, but leaning into the moment and connection and love, I give myself the gift of connecting with others and growing into who I am without knowing exactly what that is. Can't hear you, Yanko.
Hey,
You're kinda choppy, but I can kinda hear you now. I cannot hear you. And it's so funny because you were all black and now you're all white. And I'm like, oh my God, you're like washing into the wall of whiteness, which is so funny to me because when we talk about darkness, we realize that the light always empowers and shines us through the darkness, which is so glorious to me right now. I love this. I cannot hear you.
how about
I
now?
can hear hallelujah.
Oh, hey, so this microphone doesn't going on today. Maybe the area or whatever, or there have magnet forces or something going on. But I'm here. Hello, everyone.
It's so funny.
uh,
I immediately have like the song, let's get together. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're gonna have a real good time. Right? Which is from a 1970s or really early 80s movie. Yes, I'm totally dating myself, guys. Called The Parent Trap with Haley, whatever. And I love it so much. So what's going on, Yaakov?
well, I don't know that song. It sounds like a good song.
It is a good song.
I caught someone the gala and the flower that you wear is wonderful. And I also got to tell you that I watched some of the show last night, Bright Calls, and that was amazing. You guests were amazing too. I loved it.
Yeah, so Alex, oh my God, when he dresses up as Jack Sparrow from the Pirates of the Caribbean, forget about it. He kills that. He kills it. It's amazing.
Well, I got to follow up on social and see how he does it. How entertain and entertain himself,
Yeah.
which is sweet.
So
Yeah.
I actually I want to talk to you about hypnosis today because I was
Oh,
talking to a dear friend of mine again this week, and I was talking to them about hypnosis, and immediately like the wall came up. They were like, I ain't having nobody mess with my brain. I ain't giving over that control. You ain't taking the power away from me. And I'm like, well, interestingly enough, my dear friend would
okay.
educate you on the fact that you can never give up that control. But since it came up this week, I thought today would be a really great time to reinforce people's understanding of hypnosis and how hypnosis can serve as a tool potentially in helping people really step into their power in the present moment of love.
Oh, all great questions. Um, Yeah, so hypnosis is not mind control. In a lot of people, because they watch the shows where people come up on the stage and they act funky. Um, they do it because they want to do it. It's not because um, the hypnotist puts him in this like light of control or mind control. You're always in control. It's quite opposite. You're getting more into yourself. You're getting more aware of like what's going on around you and all that, and you're not
Yeah.
unconscious. But the only way to find out is to actually try it, and then you'll find out that it's not that. Because until you actually go into a trance or hypnotic trance, then you won't know what it is.
But let me ask
Um,
you something, right? So,
yeah.
and it occurs to me that I trust myself immensely. I was even reading the article I was in for Fierce Over 40, and I said, and it's so true. Like I trust myself more than anything in this whole world because I trust my connection with love or spirit or God, however you define it. But for me, it's love. How can an individual who may not have that self trust, that like intrinsic, intuitive, I got my back, give themselves permission to surrender into that experience? Because I think that I can see where there would be this trepidation to go through hypnosis if you don't trust yourself enough to be safe.
Well, so first of all, I want to break it down a little bit and tell the viewers and the audience that it's a natural state that occurs in everyone's lives periodically through the day. And so a lot of people don't even realize that are in outer state of being. There is this gadgets now where you can wear them and to tell you if an alpha or beta or which like state of operation your brain it is in. But the best example I can give, and that might convince some people to, try it, is that everyone had that experience when they were driving down the road and they were so fascinated in an idea or daydreaming that they missed their exit. So, they were in that outer state of being. They
Yep,
weren't unconscious, they weren't not there, they were present. They won't even know how they were driving the car because their consciousness was in this idea on maybe a Caribbean beach, but the car was driving and you weren't bumping in a car. So you weren't crashing the car, you weren't getting off the road, you weren't losing control.
yep,
So that's like one example that I like to give people. And then another one I can do that quite often happens to people is when you keep your keys in the same spot in your house, and every time when you're about to get out, you grab the keys, you go start your car or whatever. There are times when people might experience that they go to grab the keys and the keys are not there. And they start going and searching for the keys and they go through the pockets. And maybe 30 minutes later, they go and find the keys in the exact same spot. So, what their brain did at that moment, um, it's called negative hallucination. It just took it out of the picture. It was there, but it wasn't signal to the brain because they were in that outer state of being. The
yep,
same way when you're watching through your eyes, you're seeing a full picture, but there's actually a spot in between the two eyes connecting and your brain getting the whole picture. And there are some exercises that people do with like a text or a bar where you can just position your eyes a certain way when you actually have that black spot come out because you don't see it, your brain just kind of puts it together. So in a way, everyone gets in that outer state of being. They do it periodically through the day, so there's nothing to be worried about because it just happens. You're just not aware of it. And in other people, my experience outer states of being, when they're doing a sound bath or sound healing with singing balls, they might get in that outer state of being when they're relaxed and everything. When things are happening, they're getting memories coming up and things like it. So
yeah.
that's the best way I can explain it and maybe loosen up a little bit of that fear or apprehension that people might have because it happens to everyone multiple times.
All the time, yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. I mean, I alter my state of being anytime I go into deep breath work or, meditation, which for the listening audience, I mean, it took me a long time to really intentionally get into that altered state of being, right? I can daydream the best of them and stuff, but like with awareness and understanding,
Right.
because interestingly enough, because I knew I could do it, my thinking mind prevented me from doing it in meditation. So it's so funny how our lower self, our lower mind, our overthinking self creates these trap doors that that kind of prevent us from honestly being like existing in the present moment, because right
Right.
now me being present with you is just unfolding in peace and joy. But as soon as I go into my thinking mind, I'm now either thinking about the past or how we're gonna unfold the show in the future or whatever. So it's just so fascinating. But again, so now that you've kind of given the listening audiences a fundamental understanding of hypnosis, I guess for further clarity for individuals, how can hypnosis serve to like support them? Now, the Yanko I know is going to say to everybody, so let me preface this in the beginning. You are already whole, heal, and complete, and you do not need anything because you are perfect. Yes, but most people don't experience that. So, how can hypnosis support them in becoming aware of that intrinsic love that carries them and that they exist in at all times?
So in that state of, on that outer state of being, your thinking mind loosens it up and kind of steps aside and allows things to happen.
Yeah,
And when that happens, the body knows how to naturally heal itself or to do whatever it needs to be done. And through hypnosis, the hypnotist guides you in that experience to support you and help you, kind of like to say, all right, this okay, this is how it's supposed to happen. You're doing a great job, or that's right, keep going, or like if there is an emotional release or something that the person was holding into, that state allows it to experience that emotion, to let it go, to have it come through the whole body and come out and have that experience, instead of just kind of like, I'm afraid of, experience that emotion. So that that you think that it's you, that it's like thinking that you know what's best for you and everything, that's how you're kind of getting in your way. Like
yeah,
you're actually getting in your own way and you're tripping yourself up. and
yep,
and I'll give another example. Back in the day, butter was really good. But then when it was shortage, they come up with margarine, and they start saying, "Oh, the margarine, it's all good and everything," and everyone get into believing that this is better. But how do you know? You, as an individual thinking, you don't control how the body grows your hair or your nails, or how it's processing the food, and how the nerves are processing, or how everything comes about to be you. So that process allows those things to happen, allows you to get in that outer state of being and allow the body to repair. In another example I'll give is that uh, when I first started to meditate and get in outer states of being, or different state of mind or different state of being, I'll notice that the body will start. I'll start feeling like the food in my stomach, or I'll start burping. Other things will happen, and I'm thinking, well, why is that happening? Because the sympathetic and parasympathetic system, once you get in that state, that changes, and then your body goes to repair mode. You're allowing it. You're not into like concentrating outside or whatever it's happening outside the world. You're allowing it. You're going within, and you're allowing that to start happening in the body. So not only that your body switch to a repair mode, but it also allows you to have unexperienced thoughts or something that might come up. And this is why meditation, it's a good tool to have in your belt, in start meditating, because by doing that, you're allowing the mind to bring up unresolved business, like anything that you've been thinking of, any stressors. And usually that also happens naturally when you go to sleep, and that express itself through dreams. If you we're thinking that I can't express myself that way during the day, then you have the dream, because in the dreams, anything it's possible, and that's another outlet for the mind to process whatever hasn't been processed during the day. So there is a lot of things that our body, minds, and spirits are doing all as a one whole, but we're just not aware of it.
Yeah. That's so beautifully said. And I think, my understanding is my healing has come from complete surrender. Right? I grew up in a very analytical household. My parents are highly intelligent, both of them incredibly driven to obtain knowledge through books, through documentary stuff. And I still enjoy that. I'm gonna be real. Like I love I mean, I am a glorified nerd. I love it, right? But I've never healed that way. My healing has always been to be aware of something coming up, you know, most predominantly rejection, right? That was probably the most pervasive story that has underpinned all of my experience in my whole life. And then bear witness to it. Not try to control it, not try to understand it, not um try to fix it or connect with it. And in that I heal from it. The minute I experience rejection or some type of, angst that is the underlying is rejection, and I start to try to figure it out, I spin into more suffering. I start to spiral down this story that I need to, got to, but instead of, oh, okay, this is coming up and release. And over time, I just am more grounded in this unconditional self-love for myself and others, like this pervasive feeling of just safety and peace. And that's why I encourage people to try tools, and the tools that work for me and Yanko may not work for you. I'm not here to sell you on hypnosis or meditation or breath work or journaling or grounding in dirt, but I am here to hopefully encourage you to keep practicing tools, and leaning into new behaviors that help you connect with that unconditional love that just carries you through every single moment and allows you to know peace even in moments where I still feel rejection because that's a human experience that I still am working through. So,
Yeah, that's funny that you brought it up, because like a lot of the times, think of it this way. You come as a baby or as a human in this lifetime, and you have everything, it's wiped out. For the people that don't believe in past life reincarnation and all that, you're starting anew. There's nothing. You don't know who you are, if you're a boy or girl, or if you're Bob, Janie, or whatever. Your parents give you all those things. People start programming you, and even if you don't, you come up to conclusions like you said yourself. Maybe mommy and daddy are busy or something else is going on. They put you on the side. You're thinking with your thinking mind, because now you're getting in that age where you're starting to put two and two together, and you say, if I do this, that happens. Like baby, oh, if I cry, people come and pick me up. Well, maybe if I want to be picked up, I'll cry more. So parents come in, pick you up every time you cry, or they feed you or change your diaper. So a lot of those things are happening because of that. You're getting to something that you concluded because of an experience, and you come to that conclusion and said, no, no, now I know because of that or whatever. Now I'm feeling rejected, and you carry on to your life. But when you get in that outer state of mind, that gives you a way to see it, like in a meditation. Instead of, if this is the character you're playing, or this is you're embodying, it gives you ability to step and look at it from outside, like a third person, and to see that, is that really true? Did you really, in this situation that unfolded, did you really get rejected, or this is something that you came about, or you concluded about yourself based on whatever facts that presented themselves in that situation? So, and this is how usually the work happens. You get a different perspective about yourself, and you peel those layers, and you come about to figure out that this is not what it is. It's just an experience, or this is not who I am, or I'm a lot more than that. And hypnosis is just one of the tools. And like you said, there's plenty more that resonate with different people.
Yep.
You know, you can do the same thing with Reiki, or having your Akashic records read, or somebody helping you out to remembrance, or where is this pattern coming from, or whatever was like built deep, deep into your psyche. You allow it to come out. You see it from a different angle, and you realize what's going on. And but it's hard to explain until you go through the experience and you see it yourself.
Yeah.
Once you go to the experience, then you know, then you'll know what I'm talking about. Because it's like I tell people, it's like explaining to a little kid you're gonna burn yourself until you actually physically feel the pain. There's no words. You can explain, oh, it burns, but what it's burning, like I don't know, like you know, you have to experience it to know. And now more and more people are starting to experience those things because more and more people are looking to better themselves and change things about themselves, or see things from different perspectives, or maybe say, well, maybe I was wrong about this. What if I look at it from this angle?
Yeah.
So a lot more of that is happening, and a lot more people are more willing to look into whatever they have to deal, or darkness, or something that they haven't dealt with, to get it done with and move
Yeah.
on.
I
Yeah.
agree. And I think, the experience, from my understanding, and again, I'm one of a collective of love, but is really to help us come back to this connection to love. Like that, I think every story, every single individual has experienced and has created in their subconscious, their lower mind, is the barrier for that deeper connection. And when you strip down those behaviors, those stories, those identities that we've all experienced that still come up for me to this day, and recognize that none of that is really true. And there's like 8 billion or 9 billion, however many more people there are, different experiences that are preventing those individuals from love. So, what do you need to do to question, release, and move into that deeper sense of love for yourself? Because, again, when you love yourself, you're not trying to control another person's experience. It's why yesterday, when I was on the Bright Side Chronicles and I was talking to Alex and Ashley about their experiences as cosplaying, and I can bear witness to the things that cultivate joy and creation and connection for them, even though that's not something that I would be inclined to do on a regular. I can love it for them because it helps them love themselves and love me, and all of the messy stuff that I like, which is skulls and spiky hair and a random flower in my hair. And maybe when I cuss somebody out on the street because I'm tired and they cut me off, or whatever it is, you can just exist in that loving experience rather than condemnation, which is really, what we're seeing right now unfold. We're seeing these two polar opposites, this deep unfolding of unconditional love conflict with this deep, deep division based on fear. And the work you and I both do, you through hypnosis, me through gutting people like a fish, which is having them experience the lies, beliefs, and habits that are keeping them in that division so that they can lean into self love. They can experience that connection, that oneness, that gift that we all exist in all the time, but we're not privy to because of the experiences that we've gone through that have closed us up instead of opened us into more love.
Yeah. And ultimately it comes back to fear. Because when you're in
Always.
fear, you don't want to be hurt, you don't want to be lied to, or
Don't want to
whatever.
die.
And And that fear, it's the thing that prevents you from experience the joy or experiencing your fullness of yourself, because maybe you're afraid of getting hurt, or maybe you're afraid of um, anything. Fear, it's everywhere. The more you look into yourself, and this is where the work starts. You have to turn your attention back to yourself to find out. And that's why a lot in the text from people that were here before us, they say, no, no, know thyself, or,
Yep.
yeah, look into yourself, find out who you are, and then you'll know everything. And ideally, we're coming in straight from the get go, everything it's outside of us. Like, we're always looking outside, like food, drinking, experiences, and all that. And when you get to that point to understand that you have all that within, which was kind of a strange thing for me to understand as a concept when I first started, to know that I don't need to have something outside to make me feel complete inside, or looking
Yeah.
for that missing piece outside. Only if I have this new phone, then I'll feel happy. Only if I get this bonus check, I'll feel happy. Only if they make me a supervisor, or if they give me this great position, then I'll feel happy. But then that never happens, because it's always changing and it's all in the mind. And it keeps you going and going, and you keep searching outside. And once you start looking inside, and like I was explaining, looking at it from a different angles, you're gonna find out that, yeah, none of that matter. You don't need that. You don't need this or that or whatever to be who you are and to feel happy. All you gotta do is be, and when you are, then you are, and you feel joy and happiness and love, and there's no fear or anything.
Yeah.
It's just like, again, I'll go back to that experience of burning yourself. Once you're in that state of joy, happiness within yourself, nothing else matter. Really doesn't matter. There could be like bombs coming outside or anything, and you're just like, oh, you don't really care what's going on outside. And then from having that experience, you're realizing that now your cup is full because you have the joy. You're not going and struggling to pull things to you to make you happy. Now you start giving because you're overflowing of joy. You're starting to share, and you see somebody say, you're down in your luck. All right, what can I do to make you happy? Because I'm happy. I want to share my joy with you, and bring you in that state of beingness.
Yep.
Um, so but that's how the reality of things is, and that's why we're here to have that experience, or the human experience, like some people like to say it. But yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I have very much come to understand, and I love Brene Brown's work, so shout out to you, because her work was pivotal for me, instrumental in guiding me through a lot of my early internal work at examining myself. Um because I was always emotional, and I always thought there was something wrong with me, cuz some people in my family are very stoic. So I'm super emotional, crying, and so she was awesome, but when I really deduce down what drives people, what the motivating factors of people are, it's 100% one of two things: love or fear. And that's why my clients know I'm very cognizant, and I share with them regularly. If I can't show up as love, I will not show up at all, because that means I have to do work on myself. What's going on internally that needs to get flushed out. And sometimes it's just being awareness that I need to be like, I just need to be in whatever's coming up, not label it good, bad, right, wrong. I'm healing, I'm growing, but just be in a space of me and not be present for another individual. And usually it's some underlying level of fear or separation that I have attached the story to, that I am just need to be aware of, and eventually it lets go. And then I come back to love. And in that space, I can show up spontaneously, meaning I don't know how I'm going to engage with Yanko in this episode for no particular reason, but I don't have an expectation or a judgment. I just show up. I don't know how I'm going to engage with my daughter who's still sick and a little bit cranky because she doesn't feel good, but I show up and allow whatever comes up for me to unfold. And I trust, because I do love myself so much, and I trust and love that whatever unfolds comes from love. And that's all I worry about. And that goes to a lot of clients or potential clients. I just talked to a potential client this week. What can I expect in our work from in the work we do? And I'm like, I have no expectations. And I really don't, because the minute I have an expectation, I have an idea of the outcome that needs to happen for you. And I do not know what you need to go through in your journey to unfold into knowing yourself and loving yourself. What I do know is I can love you in all of that mess, and I have enough wisdom and tools that I've leaned into that I can educate you without this expectation that what everything I know is going to be for you. And going back to the fear thing, Yanko, and this comes up because I was just at a gala recently, and beautiful woman who I admire and I love. She's tenacious, and she's an author, and I kept making sure that I introduced her to people and I shared her book of poetry, and I really infused her with love because she is love. And I could see this absolute resistance to it. She didn't, she was gracious, thank you so much, but this resistance to, and that is the work that I really work to help people unfold for themselves so that they can receive that love and just welcome it. I got a loving text earlier today from somebody who was just super generous with their words and their kindness, and I said I receive and I welcome that, because it's just a gift of love that somebody took the time to extend to me, and I'm open to receive that. In receiving that continues to fill my cup so that I can unconditionally extend that to others without expectation.
Yep. Yep. That's usually how it works. I mean, my motto is change your mind, change your reality. That's that's what I really stand for. But I'm aligning with you on that, and that's why we've clicked for so long, because I don't need to know how things are gonna work out with my clients. Like I don't have expectations. I tell them right off the front, because there's people that they come in and they look for that quick fix or this magic pill or something, and they say, well, let's talk about like business, like, all right, like how many sessions do I need, or how can we get this done, like, let's say at the first time, or can we get it, like, how about three times, like, you know um and it gets like, I don't know, I don't know how you're gonna experience yourself. Like, I really don't. You help
Yeah.
you, hold space for you, and sometimes I say that to clients. I say, all right, know that when we start working, there might be some times when you're going to feel uncomfortable. Do I have a permission ahead of time to push you to get through this, to, get to the last step and get you on the other side, so that you can feel that, what it feels like to be full, whole, and complete,
Yep.
and usually they're like, yeah. So sometimes when I'm feeling the breakthrough, and I'm like, okay, nobody can do this for you. Now's your time. Use it. You know, just go with it. And they
Yep.
usually do. So I mean, that's how things are. You can't expect how things are going to unfold. Not even working with clients or people, but like every day, it's a new experience.
Yep.
So now
Something
I'm in
that
the
you said.
mode.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, now I'm in the mode where, like, if I'm on an experience, I say, how can I take it to the notch up? Like, all right, it's a great experience, but how can we spice it? What can we do? Like, what can I do to spice it up a little more? Take it to the
I don't
next
try to
level.
spice it up, I just
Exactly.
sing. I will sit here and sing,
Yeah,
sing,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
sing.
yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah,
but
yeah,
something
yeah.
you said, I really wanna drive home to the listening audience, and it came up yesterday too, and the Bright Side Chronicles, with Ashley. Ashley talked about how she experienced anxiety and she was bullied, and yet she loves to sing. And so she pushed herself to join a band and go on stage and sing. And she was afraid, but she did it. And that, I think, is a gift that you and I also give to people. And there are so many coaches. Like, I don't care who you work with, therapist, priest, your best friend, the dog, but you need
Exactly.
to have somebody who is going to push you to excel, to thrive, to experience the thing that you want to do, but you keep telling yourself you can't do. I invited two people on the show, The Bright Side Chronicles, incredible artists. I mean, jaw dropping. I saw their work and I was blown away. And of course, I'm like, come on. And they're like, "I can't." Right? And something that I was just reading the article that I wrote, and all these women in the Fierce Over 40 uh campaign that I was just a part of wrote is, we said yes. We said yes to the scary things, but I said yes to the scary things of my life because I had community. Again, I attribute a lot of who I am today to the love that I always had from my brother-in-law Manny and my twin sister Ellen. And even though we weren't connected, even though there are many ways in which it still feels disconnected, I knew unequivocally that if I failed, I could call them up and have a soft place to land, eat no matter what. And that is what I encourage everybody to do. There is no quick fix. You are not going to pop a pill that's going to make you feel better. That alcohol that you're leaning into today is going to become an addiction in 5 years, 10 years, or even sooner if you're not mindful of that. Um, you can't just go to the gym once and think that that's going to be the experience to help you stay in your bodies, but you can lean in to connection, into love. And in that love, you will experience people who will say, yes, it's going to be difficult. Yes, it's going to be messy. Yes, you're going to get egg on your face. Yes, you're going to be scarred. Yes, you're going to feel wounded. Yes, you're going to want to quit. But I see you. I believe in you, and you can do it. And you can keep doing it until you learn that you're worthy of doing the hard things always. And in learning those hard things, you ultimately learn how to love yourself in all of the messy mess.
Right. And this is a good thing that comes to mind now that I'm thinking, like nobody really cares about what you do with your life. It's you. You're being hard on yourself. You're judging yourself. Nobody sees you the way you see yourself. You might look at something and say, "Oh, I'm imperfect. Like my face doesn't look good or whatever." Comparing yourself with something other. I come to a quote the other day that really struck me hard. Like it touched something deep inside. It said that back in the day, people didn't have mirrors. People didn't concentrate on themselves like how they look. They eventually, or once in a while, they'll see their reflection in the water when they wash their clothes or whatever they're doing. But they really didn't care how they look. There were no mirrors. They didn't compare themselves, but now that we do that more and more, we have mirrors, we have like advertisements, we have social media, we got more and more ways to compare ourselves to others and to want to look the way we want to look. But the reality of things is that nobody cares how we look. Nobody, they don't see you the way you see you. They might see somebody and say, "Oh, he's really prosperous. He has a lot of money. He has a boat and everything." But they don't know that deep down inside you feel like crap. Like you have all those things, but you have no joy left because you
Wait,
have
wait,
no
that
freaking
argument
time or
that's
whatever else
bullshit.
is going on.
That's bullshit, because you and me know when people feel that way. And that's what I want for other people. When you're tapped in and tuned into you, you aesthetically can look like you have it all together. And trust and believe, I am going to know you are a hot mess express. I had a client tell me this week they've been lying to me, and I had to laugh because I'm like, well, I knew that. But here's the thing, my job isn't to judge you, and it's certainly not to embarrass you and to call you out. It's to love you. It's to love you. Now, I don't sit here and like, by the way, when you hire me, I'm going to love you, because I know that that unconditional love, it really creates like fear in people. They're like, there's no fucking way. However, that is what I do. And then over time, that distrust, that feeling of I have to present a certain way starts to dissolve, and then we can get to work in the messy mess of the story. But you and I know when somebody's like fake as fuck, whether you are a prestigious coach, president of United States, guru that is very prolific. If energetically you're not coming from love, you come from fear, and that you can smell a mile away, which is also why I won't show up for my clients. Because if I can't show up as love, I'm doing a disservice to them. But they know it, and they may not even know it, but they know it. And so I owe that to them and me to hold that integrity.
That's right. But what I was getting at that is where I was going with that was that, when you see yourself a certain way, nobody else sees you that way. But when you have somebody like Kerri or me that can come and reflect and help you see that you can see yourself differently, because now you get to a point where everything was just kind of a blur in the front, and you keep coming up with the same ideas, and you keep creating this thing that you believe it's true in your mind. That's where I was going with that.
Yeah.
That's ultimately untrue, because like everybody is doing them. They're too busy being themselves. Too busy of like going to work, rushing to traffic. Getting in my car, maybe rushing to get a car wash or whatever. Nobody cares what you do. You do you. You know what I mean?
And even if they do,
So
it's for half a second, and then they're stuck in their own shit anyway. But something that you said struck me. Most people are so afraid to know who they are, because the stories, to your point, how they see themselves is horrible. I mean, I saw myself as a worthless piece of shit, and I share this a lot. I was a thief, a liar, I mean, and a horrible mother, a drunk, an addict, uneducated, like, and that is just ugly, whatever. Just these are just some of the basic thoughts I had about myself. So then think about it. To sit in the stillness and examine this, right? If I'm focused on the external, I'm not looking at the belief that I've cultivated about myself. Once I look at that belief, holy crap, the awareness of one, how I talk to myself was mind blowing. Mind blowing. I did not have one kind word for myself. And then to start to again, and this is where other people's perspectives were able to help guide me, right? Yeah, I stole. I really did. And I've shared many times, I stole to give stuff to people so that they would be my friends because I was lonely. Now, do I condone the action of stealing? No, but can I give myself grace in the fact that I did it because I was so disconnected, and it was a way for me to achieve connection, illusionary, yes, but and that's where that guidance and that support and hypnosis can be really supportive, because you're not attached to the judgment of the experience. In hypnosis, you're in an altered state, and you can witness the experience without that condemnation, that judgment, that self-deprecation that comes up only in your waking state, that when you're alert. That's the only time you're really experiencing that anxiety and that depression. So you get past that so you can look at it from a more objective place. And then again, you surround yourself with people who can love you and the whole of you. I have so many people who love me immensely, even though there was a time and a place when I stole, when I lied, when I put my hands on my kids, when I just did stupid shit because I didn't love myself. And so, yes, it can feel really difficult to experience who you are in the beginning, but once you do that, you go past it and realize that was never you in the first place, and that you were just striving for connection and love. And when you can learn to really let go of those stories, you get to experience that love.
Yeah, because ultimately you're you. Those are just the stories that you took and turned around and made him and claimed him to yourself and said, maybe this is what who I am.
Yeah.
You don't know who you are until you find out. Because people come in and tell you, this is who you are. This is you. You're this, you're that. And you start to believe it. And you say, well, maybe this is me. Maybe I'm undeserving. Maybe I'm crap or whatever. And you start getting those to play in your mind. Now, yeah, this is kind of nuts. But I've seen it to a point where people verbalize it. They're going in their whatever rage or whatever, and they're verbalizing what's going on inside. Yeah, I don't know what I did. Like I'm a crappy worker or whatever, and whatever else is going on in that moment in their hand, it keeps coming up. So be kind to yourself first, and find out that this is not you. What's the reality? Like, um, and we've seen that before many times, but I'll bring it up again. You know, what's the reality? Is that really you? Like somebody comes in and says this and that. You're this. Maybe you're not good enough because you haven't done it the way they expected it to be done, or whatever. But if you look at the whole thing and ask yourself, is that really the truth? And concentrate on the positive instead of the negative, then you'll find out that that's not really true. And the really bad part about it is what I wanted to bring out is that our DNA, it's inbred for survival. And we only look at the worst case scenarios, like right at the get go. And somebody give me that example. They said, well, back in the day when people were roaming the earth and they were hunting, gathering, two people were going and they saw a cave. The one person was curious and said, didn't have the fear and said, I'm going to go in the cave, and went in the cave, got eaten by bear and died. The other person that was afraid didn't went in the cave, continue on because he said, I don't know, that cave looks scary. Anything can happen there. I better go. They survive. So this is how we're programmed deep down in our DNA to only see the negative things in life.
Yep.
And this is where me and you know that if you practice gratitude, which will push you to concentrate on the positives in your life, then you're really going to see that you might even have more positive than negatives in your life, but you only concentrated on the negatives. And you went on, and you took it and you believed to be true. And people that took you negative things, you took it. You didn't take compliments. Somebody come in and says, hey, great job. You did great. And you're like, is this person messing with me? What's going on? Is there a game going on behind? Is he going to want me to do something for him then? All those things are starting to come up. So that's all I wanted to bring up when you said it. That's what comes up in mind.
Well, you're so funny. I'm going to give the listening audience a real example that came up for me the night of the gala, right? So I went to the gala. I helped my best friend put it on. Shout out Lindsay Height. Um,
Yay,
and
Lindsay!
I know you love Lindsay. And so fast forward afterwards, Nana sent me all the pictures. And I realized after, I'm like, oh my God, I never took a selfie with my twin sister. Like my twin sister was there. She was having a great time. She has all these pictures. I immediately went to the negative. Oh, blah, blah. But then I'm like, wait a minute. in the moment of the gala, I was introducing her to people that I know that I love. She was having a good time with her family who was there supporting her and me and in this experience. And I just had to laugh because again, what you said, my first inclination was to go to lack, like, oh my God, I didn't get a selfie with my twin sister. But my second choice was, wow, my sister and I had such a wonderful time and an experience that was put together by one of my dearest friends. And there's all these pictures that I get to look at of my sister's joy with the people she loves. And again, that's where being aware of your thoughts and how they impact your body is profound in how you start to experience life, because I could have easily spiraled, felt shitty, locked myself in a cage of separation and suffering had I not recognized, oh, that's just like a program default setting that I'm bypassing in this moment by looking at all of the joy that unfolded within this gala. And this flower brings me joy too,
There you go.
Right, so with that, we got 3 minutes. I really want to encourage the listening audience again. I just wanna tell you I love you. I love you without condition. I love you even if you're messy. I love you even if everything I say feels really foreign or disconnected or ridiculous to you. And I hope one day that you love yourself enough to understand that the love that I'm sharing with you is genuine and comes from a place of connectedness and appreciation.
That's well said. And I want to thank everyone for sharing their time and vibing with us and sharing energy with us today or in the recording because everything is energy exchange. We give, we take, and so on. So I'm really grateful for everyone that watched, support us, and contacted with us and had that exchange. And that way, maybe they'll feel how it feels to be in that state of unconditional love. How about
As I
that?
eat the flower.
Oh, that's a great way to finish the show. All right. Thank you all. We'll see you next week, the same time, same place. Bye bye.